If a new early career professional is sitting for a placement, be it on campus, off campus, which involve, and you're the HR manager, and the students or the early career professional wanted to negotiate the salary, how do you deal with
Is
it?
that if someone is not being very transparent in their hiring process, that's a problem. That's they need to work on.
The employees are doing extra time. They are working like till 8 9 p.m. and even they have to spend their Sundays trying to write a report. So do you think this is a problem in the mindset of NGOs saying we are like a family and then giving out an extra workload to the
Ask
employees?
if you know a candidate is pregnant and you know that the person will go for 6 months maternity leave, will you hire the person? It's very important that first, when you join an organization, also first, like the probation period or whatever it is, you need to spend time understanding how things are happening there and whether you are actually aligned to that. Look,
Okay, how does a good HR actually look like in social sector? What would you say?
you also need to take decision as quick as possible, which is the domain which you want to specialize. You cannot go to everything which you do. So tell me about your weakness. People will be like, okay, my weakness, my areas of improvement. How should I say? If I say this, will that affect my job? Should I say a safe weakness, or should I give a scripted response? Always okay to use AI for your job application. I don't know if I can say this, but when I'm reading the application form question responses, I can see sometimes there will be one question: why you want to join our organization? Answer might start ChatGPT says, then semicolon, then the answer. I'm like, "Arey, dude, at least you just remove that, then you submit." If sometimes there'll be like number of like 10, 15 roles open
Yeah.
which we need to close in a month, then there is no other option than using AI. Otherwise, we'll still read all the applications which can give better candidates. It is completely an HR problem, which is not at all okay. The HR or a recruiter or the organization being very irresponsible if they are not giving update to the candidates.
Welcome to Decoding India's Social Sector, a space where we go beyond reports and buzzwords to understand the real work happening on the ground. Today's guest is someone who has seen the sector from multiple lenses, so education, grassroots work, and now people and culture in organization. So Nias Ali is currently leading people and culture at Involve and has previously worked with NavGurukul and Teach for India. So from teaching in classroom to building hiring system and shaping workplace culture, his journey is both unique and deeply relevant. Nias, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this nice introduction also.
So let's start from the beginning. You studied history, you got into teaching, and then moved into HR. That's not a typical path, right? So what saved this journey?
This is the question that everyone asks me from history, how from history to an HR. So like, see, when I completed my 12th and I want to do pursue my graduation role, I actually wanted to pursue in philosophy. So that time I couldn't find philosophy as a subject in the universities or colleges which I can afford in my nearby places. So I found history as a realistic philosophy. That's how I entered to history. I actually did internship in archaeology also after my master's in
Okay.
history. But somehow, see, I also come from a small village where education at all was not such a very like not easy thing to get it. So I entered to Teach for India to do the fellowship and 2 years working with classroom, with students, teachers, understanding the actual problems in the classroom and all. From there, it's very accidental. In the second year of our fellowship, we have an opportunity to work uh, outside the classroom. Like there'll be a lot of other opportunities which we can engage with. That's how I
Right.
entered to the fellowship recruitment team within
Mhm.
the fellowship itself, where we recruit fellows. So the
Mm.
my idea is also like 5 6 years back. My idea was also like, okay, I currently work in one classroom where I impact maybe 30 40 students. If I recruit 10 fellows or 20 fellows, I'll be impacting more scale.
Mhm.
Somehow I entered to the recruitment. I really started enjoying like
Mhm.
interacting with people, bringing people to the larger vision of the organization. Then like completing the fellowship, and then I got an opportunity to work as a recruitment manager in the Gurukul Foundation. I joined there. Again, very accidental. The month I joined, one of the person who's working in the HR
Mhm.
moved, transitioned out. There was
Okay.
someone need to take other responsibilities within HR, like outside the recruitment. So I thought,
Okay.
okay, I will try. Uh, so somehow the journey went a place where I take care of people, culture, well-being, policies, recruitment, hiring, everything. Not very well planned, but somehow like the journey took me to this where I am currently.
Right. So was there any moment during your teaching days that changed how you saw education system?
See, one thing that we always, so as a person, before I enter to a classroom, I always believe that, okay, we will go and deliver a lot of sessions, and the students will be like learning what we are delivering as a content. And the learnability will come from how we are teaching or the students' ability to learn. Uh, there are a lot of small moments, in, like, for example, um, when I see students seeing bit sleepy in the classroom in the morning, I feel like why at the early morning students are being very sleepy, why they are not able to listen to the classes. I critically evaluate how I am taking sessions, or is it my problem in taking classes, what I need to rework. And my manager also gave me a lot of feedback, like you need to bring like activities in the classroom, you need to do like how you need to engage in the classroom. But later phase I also came to know that the students are coming to classroom without having their breakfast. Like
Mhm.
their parents are going for the work very early in the morning, so they are
Mhm.
not able to cook and they are coming hungry. So how
Mhm.
they will be able to sit in classroom and listen? So then we also initiated certain things where we also ensure, like provide certain things that the students will come at least having the breakfast in the classroom. So the problems in the education is not just within the classroom, how the pedagogy is being designed, but also like beyond the classroom are a lot of things that we need to work on. So I
True.
think the fellowship model was not working in classroom delivering the pedagogy or content. It's beyond what we can actually
Mhm.
improve the holistic learning outcome of the classroom.
Mhm. The reason why I ask you about teaching, classroom, and education is I wanted to understand your perspective as an HR, because a lot of time, if I talk about as an student life, okay, so we got to do limited things because of what our curriculum is and what kind of education system we are currently enrolled in. So let's say if I'm studying in a government school, I definitely might not have a better quality of education. If I talk about, let's say, private institutes, I might have a better quality of education, but my co-curricular activities might not be that strong, or I might not have the understanding of the extra activities that needed to be done to get top of these skills, because those skills are really demanding, and everyone feels like you should start investing your time on building those skills from the ground, like when you are in your early stages of your life. So as a student, it becomes really important building your skills and thinking about which direction you want your life to go on. Okay, so let's say straight away after an student graduates or finalizes their 10 12, goes into the higher education to do their bachelor's or master's, so they complete the transition without getting involved in building those skills. When it comes to their placements, finally it's their final year and they have to take a decision of where they wanted to see themselves. So if I talk about people in the social sector, the students who are in development studies, when they finalize their education system and ready to move on to their working profession, a lot of HRs, when they interview them, say you don't have, those skills which we need in our organization. How do you see this kind of a, gap, and how it could be better able to tackle at their early stage, so that they don't have to, think about it in the last stage when they desperately need a job? Because if I have economic constraints, if I have a responsibility in my family, I definitely wanted to land into a job. And when a recruiter says me you don't have enough skills, or your profile is not at all capable or matching with our job description, those students get depressed, often get depressed. Okay, and they feel like what did I did wrong? I had followed all my curriculum, I have gone to my school, my colleges, I have dedicated myself, but when it comes to getting a job, there's a big gap. So as an HR, what do you think about it?
I like the how the question is phrased from the school to college, how the entire learning made them not fit for a job, and what is the problem exactly. See, very genuinely, I don't want to blame anyone here, but when you see the let's take an example of a school. What happened in a classroom or in a school? We have dedicated teachers for every schools. They are well trained. They have all the educational qualification. They cleared a lot of exams, and they also enter the schools to actually to create impacts, no doubt in that, or the commitment. But you see, like for example, an election comes, who
Mhm.
is responsible to conduct the exam? Teachers will be assigned as a like BLOs or whatever.
Mhm.
Suppose if there is a surveys announced by the government, again I'm not blaming the government or system anyone, I'm trying to say the reality. Like if there is a survey,
Mhm.
uh, teachers need to go to like the places and take the survey. a COVID vaccination or whatever vaccination. We have people working in the health, but again, the school will be the place where the vaccination happen.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever happening, suppose a flood happen, everyone will be relocated to the school, and people will be in the school like as
Yes.
a where they will be stay for few
Even if
months.
we talk
Things will
about
be difficult.
even if we talk about our social, let's say, cultural ceremonies, there's a lot of marriages that
Hmm.
takes place in schools rather than the community
Yeah,
building.
it's a convention center where the marriage happen, the festival happen, everything. Now, when the teachers will get time to teach the students after all the work, after all the admin works, like there are a lot of work that is really making sense. There are useless work also. So
Mhm.
how, like when the teachers will get time and how they will get motivated after doing hell lot of things, how they'll get motivated to get engaged to teach the classroom. Now, when it come to colleges, same thing happens there also.
Mhm.
Now, what the students need to do, there are a lot of things that can be solved, but these kind of structural thing cannot be solved in 1 or 2 years or 1 or 2 days. So the students, what they should understand is they should be self-learners. They
Mhm.
need to understand, they need to research. Again, they might be paying a lot of money for colleges. Why I'm like paying, then why I need to do the research? Unfortunately, the reality is that you need to do proper research. You need to understand what need to be learned, what the industry demands.
Mhm.
Then you need to be self-learners.
Right.
So I work in an organization called Involved Learning Solutions Foundation. What we also do is we work on a peer-to-peer teaching model where the students mentor their peers. The idea is that when we look at the school or when we look at the classroom, we can see like everything is designed by adults for the students. And students are not engaged how they want to learn or what they want to learn. Consequently, what happened is like it also affect their ability to take decision or make choices or act on it. So how we can build that ability in students where the students will be able to see if we take some of the colleges, we'll see like I usually tell this to students when I'm doing the interviews also. I don't want to hire a person who have a lot of ideas about very idealistic world, which is not how it is happening in reality, and want to change everything on their first day of the job. So this is how it comes when they come without having the understanding about how things are happening. So like if you take care of a lot of colleges and institute, how they do currently, they do field work and internship very rigorously. They will ask them to be in a certain places, certain responsibilities, and engage in the real life problem. And when they come back, they understand how things are happening. So they also will be fit for the certain problems. One additional thing I want to add here is for me or the organization that I currently work or I previously worked,
Mhm.
more than the skills, what we look is the vibe and attitude of the person and the learnability. When I say learnability, it's like one is of course the ability to learn
Mhm.
and the willingness to learn. So if
Mhm.
someone come with that flexibility
Mhm.
to learn and having that ability to learn and work and who fit in the overall vibe of the organization, we believe that skill can be trained.
Right.
And mostly the social sector in India also work in that way. So students also need to understand how flexible they are towards learning things.
Mhm.
And of course, we cannot blame any system, unfortunately, structured like that.
Right. Okay. So thank you for those insights. And now let's talk about a person as an HR. So a lot of people think HR is administrative, but your work suggests it's much deeper. How do you define people and culture in the social sector?
See, it's very recent shift happen in their and then their HR domain, how people
Mhm.
see it. Like we cannot consider people in the organization just as a resource for the organization. Instead, we need to understand them individually as a people, and we need to support them as a people itself. Um, Beyond their growth, like beyond their organization, what we are expecting within the organization. That's how the terminology
Mhm.
changed. Like, for example, in my current organization, um, we have something called IDP, and we have something called one-on-one with the managers. This one-on-one, which happen every month, is not about checking their work progress.
Mhm.
Instead, that will be focusing on their growth or what they actually wanted to do or how they want to grow within or outside the organization. And
Mhm.
very interestingly, another thing we have in our current organization is if an individual in the organization wanted to do something innovative,
Right.
which is not within their OKR or something. Suppose if I want to start my own organization, which is aligning with the vision of Involve, I can use 15% of time and resources of my organization within the work time to build that innovative idea which I have.
Okay.
So we also look at people towards their growth, their well-being, instead of just getting things done through them. So that's how the idea of shifting from HR to people and culture in the entire social sector changed.
Thank you. Thank you for that input. So, if I would ask you, what does good hiring mean in mission-driven organization? Because a lot of organizations have different frameworks and processes when it comes to hiring.
See, it is not about the sourcing channels which we use, whether it is LinkedIn or whether it is job board or whatever. It's all about the people whom we are actually hiring. So we don't compromise on the person which we need. See, someone who is going to join the organization, we want the person should be the best available person in the job market for that particular role. No compromise on that. So that's
Mm,
how we look. Again, one thing, as I said, is like we don't prioritize much on the skill set which we believe that we can work on that. If
mhm,
a person can come with that learnability, the ability to learn and the willingness to learn. See, it's very difficult in certain cases. For example, there'll be people who are very good at articulating things, like how they can talk in the interviews. But for example, if we need someone who want to work in the field, maybe someone who need to travel 40-50 kilometers a day, need to go to two different block offices and build relationship with or conduct trainings there. How the people work on ground might be very different from how they actually present their work in the interview. More like understanding of a person is very important, and it does not require whether the person come from a job board or whatever. Ideally, how I look is, I don't want to post job in anywhere, but currently we do. I want people to come and see our organization and follow us and frequently, okay, I want to work with this organization.
right.
That's how our brand should be.
Mhm. Right. So, can you share your experience of hiring? Like, what are your strategies and your processes of hiring from a beginning till the end? How do you do that in Involve?
See, first thing for me as a recruiter, first
Hmm.
thing for a candidate, both is understanding about a role. So if suppose the research manager in my current organization want to hire a research associate or a research lead, whoever, first
Right.
thing for me is sit with the person, understand what exactly the role is. Because when we read the JD, not everything will be possible to understand from a JD. So we sit with the person, understand. If you want to go with the research manager and actually see how the work is being done, I'll be doing that also.
Hmm.
Understand the role is very important. Now the thing is, like, we'll go with all the means. Like, we go to colleges, we post a job in LinkedIn, all the job boards. We also use certain ATS. Like, the ATS which I currently use is, if I just push the job, it will automatically post in all the job boards. We don't need to post in separately everywhere. And the people applying any job board, it will come directly to our candidate portal.
Hmm.
So it's like simple. Like, the technology also grown a lot.
Hmm.
Now the task come is, okay, we posted a job today. We have 200 profiles received. Now we need to shortlist. We need only 1%. So that is the process where we might have defined processes, structures, rubrics, criteria, all those things. But still, how? Like, suppose if you have 10 roles open, 10 roles for each roles, if we get 200 candidates,
Right.
okay, 2000 profiles, how a person will read, how much time we spend in each profiles,
Hmm.
how we show justice to each and every profiles applied in the organization. These are all very complicated things where we use a lot of technologies here.
So, another question would
Then,
be, it's a very popular question actually, which I wanted to ask you. If a new early career professional is sitting for a placement,
mm,
be it on campus, off campus with Involve, and you're the HR manager, and the students or the early career professional wanted to negotiate the salary, how do you deal with it?
interesting. So first thing I'll tell you what the candidates should do. Candidates should do few things. One is they need to understand the market. How they will understand the market.
Hmm.
First thing is, if you are applying in social sector, there is something called salary benchmarking. You need to read the salary benchmarking report. Like, salary for a communications manager in an organization within 5 to 10 CR budget or 10 to 20 CR budget, what is the salary currently is given in the market? First thing, not that. Secondly, you need to understand the organization's budget range and what is salary currently offering, like use platform like Glassdoors, or there are a lot of other ambitious box, whatever, and
Hmm.
understand what is the salary range within the organization. Now you need to reflect yourself, your requirement, financial requirement currently and all, and where you actually stand in, and go with a realistic quote.
Right.
Like, if we just go with random numbers,
Mhm.
Maybe there is a possibility of losing the entire opportunity. But if you go with understanding the salary benchmarking plus your organization ka salary range and your requirement, you will land in a correct place. This is one thing. Secondly, me as a recruiter, I never do salary negotiation, because see, if a person come with a certain expectation, and if we negotiate, and if the person come down because the person need a job, he or she will not be happy. They will join us for the sake of getting a job.
Mhm.
See, I might be very biased, but this is how I have seen. They might join for the sake of getting a job, and then once they land the job, they will start peacefully searching for other job, which actually meet their actual expectation which they had. So
Mhm.
one recommendation to all HRs: never do salary negotiation. Be very explicit and clear. Put that in your JD. This is the salary which we can provide. In the first round of interview, ask what is their expectation. Then tell them what this is the process, if this is the salary range which we can provide, and if they want to continue with the process, fine. Otherwise, don't do.
But there's a very interesting observation which I have observed in the sector. Like a lot of organization, especially in the social sector, they hide the salaries in their JD. Okay, even if you go to the job boards, even job boards doesn't make it mandatory like Glassdoor does. If you go to Glassdoor, they have mandatory section of adding the salaries. But if you go to other job boards, you won't find the salaries if the organization haven't mentioned it. But you are in a dilemma whether should you apply for it or not, because even the role, the job descriptions look very fine, and you are able to match up your profile with the job description or organization's vision and mission. Even then also you have an intention of should I apply or not. So that questions always remains in mind. Why do you think this is
See,
happening in the social sector?
See, one thing is that if someone is not being very transparent in their hiring process, that's a problem. That's they need to work on as a candidate, or as a people working in the social sector. We need to flag that whichever organization it is, which is not fair. Secondly, for a candidate, so there is, I think there are a lot of organizations doing the salary benchmarking, like organization called Rahim Back, if you know, they are being doing with 100 organization. So it's like if you know a certain organization, then you will understand that kind of organization within that budget range, what is the salary in general in the job market is. That understanding is possible. With that understanding, we can decide whether we need to apply there or not. But in the first interview, you just ask, because see, the hiring process is very messy in the social sector. Like there'll be first round of interview, assignment, second, third, fourth, then in-person interview, then after then 1 month no response, then again like interviews. This happens. So you need to ask the first round of interview. Like people also feel in the dilemma: should I ask this about salary? Will they feel like, oh, I'm applying
Mhm.
for just for money and all?
Mhm.
Fine. If they are thinking like that's also fine. You just ask about the salary, what they can provide. If they are not being very transparent in the first conversation itself, it's a problem of that organization. You need to think twice whether you need to apply in an organization which is not very transparent. And this is my personal opinion. And I'm very confident that any hiring which I made, every JDs till now, we have been very transparent about the salary.
Right. So why does this HR in the social sector often feel weak or invisible compared to the corporate world, if I talk about? It's a very general question.
See, I usually say this: 2% of the annual revenue, something profit is of a corporate is CSR,
Mm.
right? So we usually say that 2% of the corporate compensation of an HR will be the compensation of an HR in the non-profit sector. So this is one problem. See, the problem here is that there might not be very clearly defined structure for an HR in a non-profit organization. Like if I go to a corporate, I have listed, okay, I need to do performance management, I need to do recruitment. This is here. It will like we might need to do what beyond we are supposed to do.
Mhm.
That sometimes restrict going deeper into what we want to do. Instead, we'll also go into the breadth. Like we'll be doing a lot of things. That might be one of the reasons. But I not fully agree with the thing that we are invisible. Not really, but somehow it is.
Okay. So, one question which basically creates not a lot of problem, but often tend to create a lot of pressure among employees who are working in social sector is like NGO says we are like a family. And do you think that mindset helps or harms the employees? Because if you see this closing time, it's a March end, right? The employees are doing extra time. They are working like till 8, 9 p.m. and even they have to spend their Sundays trying to write a report. So do you think this is a problem in the mindset of NGOs saying we are like a family and then giving out an extra workload to the employees?
See, the usage of family defined as something very ideal, positive place is also a problem. Like there'll be toxic families.
Right.
So that is one thing that we need to understand. Another is when it comes to social sector, we work for an impact. We work very closely. We can actually go and work in a corporate, but we choose to work here, taking a huge salary cut because we are driven by impact. And that when we are driven by certain impact or certain outcomes which we want to generate, that actually differ from how a workspace in a corporate and how a workspace in a social impact sector is. That is one fact. But at the same time, it cannot become like indirectly toxic that you need to work till evening, till you need to do this, you need to do this beyond what is supposed to do. If that is happening, that's a specific problem of that particular team or how the team is structured or how that particular organization is structured. And see, we also need to be very open in giving feedback. If I'm supposed to work 9 to 5, it's fine if there is 5:30, 10, like something happened. Like if I'm doing a placement conversation with a college at 5 p.m., I cannot say that okay, 5 p.m. my work is done. I will go home. I might need to extend that. These small things we need to have that flexibility, like from the both side, not from employee side, from employee side and organization side. But
Mhm.
if it is happening very frequently, this is something that an employee need to flag to the organization. This cannot happen, and how you co-create the solution for that.
Mhm. So, like a lot of employees hesitate to speak up to their HRs when they kind of face internal problems, and also because of this difficult realities, they are working in community, they get emotionally, overwhelmed. So, do you provide support to these employees in terms of having a good mental health?
See, this is one of the problem where see, if in any organization do anonymous survey, you will get a lot of feedback. But when you ask this very person, when you ask this to a person, or when you do a survey which is not anonymous, you might not get. So that everywhere we can see that fear of giving feedback or fear of sharing certain things, which is a problem that need to be worked on. Any organization, if that is happening there, how we ensure that people will be, how we train people to be very confrontational while giving, sharing thoughts or giving feedback. So we do this team retreat once in 6 months, and coming team retreat, one of the session is also us very specifically focusing on training people importance of giving feedback and how we can be very open and confrontational while giving feedback to each other, like
Okay.
360-degree feedback and all. That is one thing.
Mhm.
Mental health, see, if a workplace is a place where a person is very comfortable and safe, that is first thing that an organization need to do to provide the well-being of the team member.
Mhm.
What my current organization do additional to that is we also provide unlimited counseling and therapy sessions for all our team members,
Oh, that's great.
if that is required.
Mhm. Also, a lot of female candidates, like the ratio is obviously not equal, but even though a lot of organization are preferring female candidates these days to work on the ground, especially with their projects that are being implemented. So, how do you make sure that females are inclusive in the works that you are doing in the organization? And as an HR, how you make sure that if they need additional leave because of, let's say if they are having their periods, or if a female is married and has some caring responsibility at their home, or let's say if they get pregnant, how do you sort of deal these situations as an HR?
I think this is very deeper discussion that should happen within the HR domain. How we actually accommodate all these things. Like if someone asks, if you know a candidate is pregnant and you know that the person will go for 6 months maternity leave, will you hire the person? Because you know that if you hire, if the person join, the person will go for leave very soon.
Mhm.
So how you will deal with the situation? So a lot of complicated things. I was recently discussing about the proposal in Karnataka. Canada state government proposed, I think, 2 days compulsory menstrual leave for all the women. When we look at that, it sounds very nice that all the female employees are getting 2 day menstrual leave, which is very nice. But when we look that from outside, we also
Mhm.
see there are a lot of complication there. See, for example, 2 days, when we look at 1 year, it's like 24 days. It's 1 month when we look at overall, like 24 days, like Sunday, Saturday, and all week, it's 1 month. Now, for an employer who is looking for profit, take an example of a for-profit company. If they hire a male and a female for the same role, the female employee is like the male employee is working 1 month extra than the female employee. Now, the problem here is that there is a possibility of hireability of women going down here, which is not ideal, which is not okay. I'm not endorsing that this can happen. I'm saying that there is a additional problem that a woman might face when we introduce certain things which we believe that this is going to impact positively but can impact negatively. So how we also ensure that okay, we are adding certain benefits but still the hireability remains same, maybe ensuring that xyz percentage of employees in the organization should be women, or xyz percentage of employees at different levels should be women. Certain guidelines and criteria from more a policy level to ensure that the woman representation is there. Not just woman representation, like ideally how we look at all the diversity and inclusion of the organization is very important. Along with that, other support, like when they are working in an organization where they need to travel a lot. uh, let's take an example of a location which is not a tier 1 or tier 2 city, and they want to go to different stakeholder offices, which might be like just take an example, 30-40 kilometers different. If they are able to travel by scooty, how we ensure their safety?
Safety, yeah.
So all these are very complex discussion that the HR like as a people need to do and initiate solution on that.
Right. What are some of the red flags in an organization that candidates should watch out before joining?
Okay. See, no one will tell this.
You already
Like if
told
you,
about the transparency, being transparent throughout, like in your JD, starting from your JD to what kind of experience the person is going to have in the organization. But in detail, if you could tell us few red flags.
see, if you go to any organization website, it might be like 10 times more than what they're actually doing. They will show it like that. So I'll feel okay, this is the best organization in the world. I will apply there. Now, if you look at the JD, okay, well-being or whatever, it look okay, this is the ideal place where I need to go to. But that might not be true. So see, it's one thing is that even if you read JD or even if you understand the organization, it's very difficult to until you experience, because you what you want to experience and what another person want to experience will be very different. So it's very important that first when you join an organization also, first like the probation period or whatever it is, you need to spend time understanding how things are happening there and whether you are actually aligned to that. Look at their vision, mission, what they are doing, how transparent they are, or how they are solving problem when there is a concern, how they are how quickly they are responding, how quickly they are solving things. Read how people are sharing their comfort. There are a lot of certification that you don't trust, like this organization is whatever. I don't want to quote certain certifications kind name, which might feel that this organization is really great. Uh, but you need to actually understand how people are experiencing that.
As a leader, are you open enough for feedbacks?
See, of course, like feedback is something that we as an organization. So in my current organization, we encourage people irrespective of which level in the organization they are to share feedback very proactively. It cannot come like 1 year back I identified this. If you identified, you need to have that space also, like providing the space is very important from an organization side, to provide the feedback and receive the feedback. Not just during the appraisal cycle when a person sit where we give the feedback. It should be like frequent to give and receive, of course, no doubt in that. And an organization grow only when each and every individuals in the organization will be very open to receive feedback.
That's right. That's correct. So, can you give us a overview about your organization involved? What work do you do in the ground, or what sort of projects are currently running on the organization? When it get founded, who's the founder member? A bit of an overview about whole organization.
Cool. So, as I said in the beginning, involved Learning Solutions Foundation, what we do is we work in the education sector. We work with the government school. We initially started with working on foundational literacy and numeracy through the peer-to-peer teaching model itself. The idea is that when students are like the when a classroom experience is completely designed by an adult and the students are not being a co-creator of their learning at all, they are not getting that exposure or opportunity to take decision or make choices or act on it. The idea is that students should not be a place where they feel I am asked to do certain things, so I do. Instead, they should be at a place where they believe I understand and I choose to do certain things. So
Mhm.
how we convert from the students to from this stage to that stage, like the students should have their age appropriate agency to thrive. So this is very largely the vision of Involve, uh, founded by Samyak and Divanshu, both of them while they are doing their studies in IIT Madras. So they were working with Avanti fellows, again with this peer-to-peer teaching model to train them to get placed, to get selected, or to join in IITs. So they have seen that impact how students are able to learn from their peers. Like when the students take that responsibility and ownership, how that actually increasing their ability
Mhm.
as a leader. That's how it started. Did pilot in Delhi, worked in Chennai. Now we work in three different models. One is a classroom model. We go to school, we go to classroom, and we facilitate this peer teaching. Like the students mentor their peers, we facilitate this, and we show the best possible impact in a classroom. Now, the idea is not to work in one or two classroom, but we want to scale it. We want to bring it to a larger scale. Like so all students in India should have that age appropriate agency. Towards that, what we do is we advocate this idea to the government, to the system, that this is possible. We did this in the classroom, so you adopt this and you take this. And that's how we do the same program in district level. Currently, we do this in two districts in UP, two in Bihar, and one in Karnataka, where we work very closely with the education department, and they implement our program and we support them. We also align with the state government programs like Nipun Bharat and their FLN missions and all. This is another way of working, and we also do another model where we partner with other NGOs who are working with students. The idea is that even if involve is not there after some period of time, whatever, even if involve is not there, but the idea of peer teaching or the agency should be there, and the students should be able to
Mhm.
get their opportunity to build that confidence and ability to make decisions, choices. Uh, that's how very broadly the model of involved look like.
Thank you very
Uh,
much.
one,
Great.
one, one thing is that we are also currently working towards building this to a state model from a district model, taking Bihar as the first state.
Mhm.
We're also working on that currently.
Okay, that's amazing. That's good to know. If I would ask you about HRs, okay, how does a good HR actually look like in social sector? What would you say?
Someone who is very approachable, where every people in the organization feel safe and comfortable to talk, will be an ideal HR. If the person don't know about labor laws, if the person don't know about the ATS to use or HRMS platform, everything can be learned, or you can get things done through different way, until and unless you are very open to people. So that is, I think, the core part of people and culture.
Mhm. Because a lot of young generations, they all think about HR as when they have to write a resignation or they have to when they have to negotiate something. That's when you get touch in with your HR and you get to do this job. But that's only one part of it. Right? How you make sure your employees are up to the mark and they have all the relevant skill and all the support that organization needs in order to get them work on the projects.
Very important. So we have something when a person join involved, we have something called 30, 60, 90 days plan. So they will be given very specific roles, first 30, second 30, and third 30 days. And what the support provide will be provided for during that period of time.
Mhm.
Uh, so people will be aligned on what they are supposed to do, like the team member and their manager, and then their organization should be aligned on that and the support they want to receive during that period of time. First thing. Secondly, after probation, every as like all all organization, we have a system of OKR where the responsibilities are clearly written, mentioned, the support system for that. And every year, each team members need to choose two
Mhm.
areas that they need to improve. When I say team members choose, like team member and their managers should sit and decide, choose two areas which they want to improve on. And towards that, there will be a support system provided. Like we have a system called IDP for that. Now, every employees in organization will have a certain dedicated budget for their capacity building, which they can completely use for their learning and development only. That's another thing. See, I will not say that we have all system currently in place for learning and development. To be very honest, we have very good plan, but we failed in implementing. When I say failed in implementing, like it's very easy to say that every team member should have two areas that they need to work on as like which we need to decide how we decide or what are the criteria of deciding that. Okay, I choose two areas. Now, what I need to do that, like what are the learnings which I need to choose, how my learning path should look like. So a lot of complicated thing which we failed in implementing actually, but we have a system in place which we are also currently working on how we can improve a lot in that.
Right. So another question would be, how can HR empowers employees instead of just protecting the organization?
I think these questions are coming very what we say uh, uh, like more like employee biases which might not be
Ah,
very true that or
right,
HR will be
right.
whatever organization says HR will go and implement.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it's not true actually. More than I negotiate certain things or I do certain things with the team members, I actually negotiate with the leadership team only. Why you are doing this? I or like I ask more questions to the leadership team involved than the questions I ask to anyone. I
Mhm.
make them accountable. Like that's how things work, I think. Uh, and I also feel that it might be an assumption or a bias that the people will have. I don't fully agree with the thing that we are just working for the leadership team, whatever they are saying. Not true.
So just two more things quickly. First one, we will go for HRs. So if you have to give an advice to early HRs who are just starting their career, what advice would you like to give to them? And if you can
First thing,
elaborate about
first thing, think twice if you want to enter to this domain or not.
yeah.
Because see, the thing is that you will be doing a lot of things, but you will also be working in a domain which is very much looked in a more like a biased perspective. HR is this. That's how it's being looked from outside. Like I have seen people asking me also, like when I'm rejecting candidate, I don't know whether it is ideal to use the word rejecting. Like, will you feel sad when you reject a candidate? Uh, Not really, but we are trying to choose the best possible person in the market. Also, there are a lot of complicated decision which we need to take. There are very difficult conversation we need to do. Very difficult. There'll be decision which we might not be very much aligned very personally. So you need to be very strong enough to be in that position. Like it is, you will be working a lot in making everyone accountable. So that ability and that you should be a strong person to do that. That's first thing. Secondly, HR is a domain where there are a lot of things included. Recruitment is there, performance management is there, finance is there, admin is there, a lot. Um, you also need to take decision as quick as possible, which is the domain which you want to specialize. You cannot go to everything which you do. How quickly you take a decision, and if you want to take a quick decision, you need to engage at least once in all domains. I cannot just look from outside as recruitment is like this, I don't want to engage. I actually need to engage. So take all the opportunities to engage in multiple domains within the domain and then choose which one that you want to do. I think that is it, and you need to be very people friendly person. You need to also be clear what all things you are responsible for. Like, but there will be something that is coming to you because people assume that you are the person who is supposed to solve this, but you might not be the person who is responsible to deal with this. So you also need to be very clear: is this something that I need to listen, I need to work on, or should I assign this should be directly can be solved with the manager, or this can be like taken to a different domain or a person. This understanding is very important, and how you make people also understand that what is your responsibilities as an HR. Otherwise, like you will end up every day listening to a lot of concern, which you might not be the relevant person to listen to that.
And about the second thing, any advice, information, or tips would you like to give for our job seekers who are trying to fit into this sector and are looking for a job opportunities?
Great. I don't know whether you believe this or not. You ask this to multiple HRs as well. Nearly 10 to 15% of the applications get rejected at the very early stage because of giving wrong informations.
Mhm.
For example, the email ID given might be wrong. We are not able to reach the person. mobile number given might be wrong. This small mistake, 10 to 15% of the candidate get rejected because of this reason. So you need to be very clear on information which you are giving. Secondly, see, I have seen people who are saying that I applied for 100 jobs and I didn't get reply from anyone. Dude, you don't need to apply for 100 jobs. You just do the research about the organization and the role, and you choose the role which you really wanted to apply and apply there. Uh, there it's very important that you need to do a research about the organization. Like when you see a JD, go through the JD and see whether you are aligned on that responsibilities. Now take, like, you can see like list of responsibilities, like responsibility one, responsibility two, whatever. Now take each responsibility. For example, if I am hiring for an HR manager, and first responsibility is managing the performance management system. Now, for managing performance management system, what are the skills required? You need to decode that skills, right? There'll be one skill, second skill, third skill. Now you see whether you have that skills or not before applying. Now, again, when I say skills, skills will be at different levels. For example, if I'm saying that I know how to make a dosa, or if I'm saying that I used to make dosa in my house when there is no one in the house, only so I just make dosa myself. Or even if I'm saying in my college during the annual festival, I made 100 dosas. Like three different people, three different statements. Who will stand out? The third person only will stand out.
Right.
So you need to understand which level of skill that you have. Do that
Mhm.
for each responsibilities. Now, before you apply, you know that whether you are going to get selected or not for that organization.
Good.
Then you go ahead and apply.
Mhm.
Then very important small mistake that people usually make. Um, it's a very big discussion that happen in LinkedIn. If you see like ATS friendly resume or reader friendly resumes, there are a lot of things that you should not do. I have seen people mentioning references and the contact details of the reference in the CV itself. The problem is that when an ATS is reading your resume, there is a possibility that the ATS read the reference ka email as your email and send
Mhm.
application update to that email because everything
Right.
is automated.
Right.
Like the contact details, sending messages, it might send to that. So you need to ensure that what all are relevant information you are providing and not providing everything.
Mhm.
Uh, and this is like a basic thing that you need to do. Self reflection is very important. What I am doing, what I want to do. Uh, for example, when recruiter asks about so tell me about your weakness. People will be like, okay, my weakness, my areas of improvement. How should I say? If I say this, will that affect my job? Should I say a safe weakness, or should I give a scripted response? The idea is that in the interview itself, it might have already revealed what is your areas of improvement. The idea of asking itself is to understand whether you are self-reflective or not.
Mhm.
Now it's very important that you give very honest responses along with that what you have tried towards growing in that particular domain. So these small things you need to be very careful. The hiring happen only when the job requirement and you as a professional come aligned like this. This can be evaluated from one side, can be evaluated from your side before applying.
Mhm. So let's talk about the Gen Z generation. So in today's world, a lot of people they use AIs, okay, for
The most
application.
scary question.
Yeah. So either they entirely automate the entire system of job application through different connectors. There's a lot of advanced AIs where you can create agents and you don't have to even just move your hands. Everything is automated. You're applying 200 jobs in one day, and then there's another set of people who are dropping their CV into AI and the job description, and then they are generating the responses of the application form, or else if they needed to write a cover letter or a CV which is ATS friendly and will suit directly to the job application description you have. So those are the two set of people, and then the third would be spending time on each questions and providing their inputs. They might not be good at grammar, they might not be very well in explaining what they wanted to say in their answers. So I think these are the three categories which I can find. As an HR, how do you deal with these three kind of applications?
See, it's very interesting. One thing about Gen Zs, which I feel great, is that they bring a lot of innovations. If you just give that space and opportunities, they'll give a lot of innovations. See, when you are using AI to apply 100 jobs, just giving your CV, applying for 100 jobs, just remind that the recruiter is also using AI to review your profile. So you apply for 100 jobs. which even you don't know that you applied already because AI only applied, and recruiter might not even show your resume, also rejected through AI. So it's gone somewhere. Secondly, it's always okay to use AI for your job application. Or see, currently without AI, I don't think like we can even survive without AI. That's very critical part of the work. How effectively you use AI is very important. Like one section on our selection process is an assignment. We give assignment to the candidate. They can take 2 days and come back with the completed assignment. We mentioned in the assignment question itself, you are free to use AI. But the only thing for us is that even if you're using AI, it should not be like, it should be used very creatively and effectively, and you need to know how effectively you need to use. If
Mhm.
I see like, see very interestingly, like I don't know if I can say this, but when I'm reading the application form question responses, I can see sometimes there will be one question: why you want to join our organization?
Mhm.
Answer might start ChatGPT says, then semicolon, then the answer. I'm like, "Arey, dude, at least you just remove that, then you submit."
Okay.
So that ability should be there. You use AI whatever, but you need to ensure. See, uh, I have seen if it is it IIT Delhi or something, like I forgot which institute it is. They have mentioned that you can use AI, but you need to also give the prompts, like which prompt you used in the application responses.
Mhm.
I was thinking like, okay, the students will again like give me certain prompts which I can use. That
Mhm.
also will be might be generated from AI itself. But
Yeah.
that is fine. Using AI is fine unless if like if you know how creatively, how effectively you use that.
Right. What about the other ones who might not have written the answers well, but they have spent actually the time and written the application by themselves?
I love that. If someone do that, if someone who actually worked and have very good experience in that, experience in the sense not that
Mhm.
years of experience there, but someone who actually experienced certain thing, that is more important than how they frame or how they articulate things. For us, I ensure that we will not use AI to review applications unless we are really struggle to review. Like if sometimes there'll be like number of like 10, 15 roles open
Yeah.
which we need to close in a month, then there is no other option than using AI. Otherwise,
Mhm.
we'll still read all the applications which can give better candidates. I got better profiles when I actually spend time in each profiles, and very technically not possible for bigger organizations, which I completely understand.
True. I think I've covered most of the part which falls under HR domain and where people are concerned about asking questions to their HRs. What's the mindset of the organization when they see their employees' growth? So I think most of the topics have been covered. But if you wanted to say something which I might not have covered in this podcast, you can definitely pitch in.
Uh, See, one thing I always say this to candidates as well. I try to say this to candidates. Uh, we might not be able to shortlist or select certain candidates, but we really admire the kind of work that they did sometimes. But there might not be relevant roles for them.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
not like rejecting, but it's always a filtration that you need to understand. I
True.
have seen recently one of my experience in hiring. I'll not mention which institute, which person, whatever, but I'll broadly say what exactly happened. I went to one institute for a placement, one of the top institutes in India, one of the,
Okay.
and a person who I interviewed there, the person actually joined 6 or 7 years back as an administrator kind of job there, and like supporting the office responsibilities and all. He was 12th pass that time, and after seeing the institute, how things are happening, he want to study there. But
Mhm.
to study there, he don't have the graduation also. So he did graduation through distant mode. Then he applied in the same university or institute, and he got selected there, and he studied there for the masters. And then he sit for the interviews. I was like, this is that grit is amazing. This is something that we really wanted. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, the role which we are hiring is not aligned with
Right.
that person's expertise. We cannot like select at this point, but we really admire. So the
Mhm.
candidates we might see will be like we really admire, and it's not like. okay, you are not fit for this organization, you are not a good skilled person. It's just filtering.
One bad practices I see in the market is even candidates apply for the job roles, and if they get rejected, even then also they don't get a reply, email reply back. So that's always a concern. We completely get it. It could be because of the resources that organization has. They might not have that manpower or the capacity to reply each and every email. But this is an AI, an advanced modern world where you can use a lot of tools to at least say we appreciate your application, but this time we are not going forward with you. This could be a kind of acknowledgement email that everyone expect, even if they don't get a feedback. If they get a feedback, that's a plus point, right? If they get a feedback, they know like what improvements they need to do in order to make their CVs or their application stand out next time, right? So what do you see, like, where the problem lies? Why organization not able to reply back to n number of applications that they receive, and
See,
the students wait for a very long time just for one reply, whether I'm selected or not, because they had no clue, no communication from back and forth.
See, one thing, it is completely an HR problem, which is not at all okay. We cannot justify saying that not because we don't have manpower to do that, we don't have time to do that. Nothing. This all are very simple automations which we can do. Where if a candidate is, we are not hiring, we can just send email in one click. There is nothing required in that. So one thing that I am very confident to say is that 100% of the candidate applied in Involve, except the people who gave a wrong email or wrong contact number, will get update whether they are selected or rejected. And sometimes, see, there might be a very small spelling mistake. Like, instead of writing gmail.com, if the dot is missing, gone.
Yeah.
You will not get that. That will flag that. But
Mhm.
otherwise, we'll get the update. And there are simple ATS which we can do all these functions, which are even a small organization started recently with least amount of budget can also afford ATS, which we can do all these automations. This is completely uh, the HR or a recruiter or the organization being very irresponsible if they are not giving update to the candidates.
Right. Thank you, Nias, for such an honest and insightful conversation. And this episode really reminds us that the strong organizations are built not just on mission, but on people, system, and culture. And to our listeners, if this conversation resonated with you, do share it with someone building or working in the social sector. And we will see you in the next episode. Thank you.